Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. Today, we get to create more adventures of our lifetime. There's Rochelle over there. Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm woke up late this morning, but I feel thriving and the sunshine is out, and we have a great guest here today to talk about activating and his own style of that. I'd like to welcome in Rob Swymer.
Hey,
How are you doing? Thank you for being here.
thank you so much for having me. I can't wait. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Yes, indeed. And this week, apparently, the universe has told me that it's about resilience. And who we have here is a resilience activator. And I've never heard anybody use that term, those two words together before. I think that's really is awesome because Rob is a best-selling author. Did I say best-selling? I meant best-selling author. He is a speaker. He is a coach. And he was brought to us by one of our great friends, Corey Portier. And so Rob is he's just outstanding. And Rochelle she she stayed up late because she has taken care of young ones. And so she woke up late but she said, "Oh, I'll be there. I gotta see him. I gotta see him again."
Yes, I was
Thank
not going to
you.
miss this for anything.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so Rob is with us, and tell us a little bit about you, like everybody else, and if you think that your life is all cupcakes and rainbows, you're one of the maybe 2%, maybe 1%, maybe 0.5%
Maybe even, yeah, right.
of people that can make that claim, because we've all had adversity, we've all had difficulties,
Yeah.
and it takes somebody special to rise above it. And then to turn around and help other people realize that they can do it too and they can be great. And that's what you do. Have I misstated that at all?
Not at all. You have right on, Kevin.
So it is great fun to talk to someone as resilient as you are, who is doing the work. I mean, and I was reading your bio, and you've had some difficulties and losing people that you dearly loved,
Yeah.
and other issues, but that affects us all, doesn't it?
It sure does. I mean, look, I'm just a regular guy that went through his share of stuff like everybody else. We're all dealing with life. This is just what it is. And yeah, resilience is kind of the new buzzword, but I've got a different slant on it. I think we all need resilience in life and business, right? Both sides. And how we get resilience is really what's different about what I talk about. There's a couple of slants that I have that's a little bit different than most people when I look about resilience. It means different things to different people. And the word resilience has been out there, and it's look at this week, it's all about resilience. Next week, it'll be resilience again. I mean, companies are talking about how they're resilient as a company and resilience this. The reality is, all it really means to me is it's the ability to bounce back after any kind of adversity, stronger than before, with new purpose and new perspective. To me, that's what resilience is. And that can apply to anybody in life or business. And I went through my share like everybody. Everybody has a story. Everybody, right? Kevin, Rochelle. I mean, we all have stories of adversity or setbacks or things that we have been challenged with or struggle with. And I have my share. My life had its share of adversity, and I chose to learn from each of those events. And I think what really catapulted me into what I'm doing now in serving others globally with my message is in 2013, in July 31st, I lost my wife suddenly to a brain aneurysm We were married 32 years. We had an amazing love story. And that set me on a journey. And I was listening to your promo video at the beginning. You talked about sort of, how do we bounce back? How do we go through this? And how do we become more resilient? And I think that's really what it's all about. And those life events dictate how we move forward because we get to define those events. We all get to define them. And how we define those life events, it catapults you into a journey. You can either go down or you can rise. And the rise is always sweeter than the fall. We know that, right?
Oh, exactly.
Right.
I call mine, because everybody can put any kind of label on it. Mine was a bad country music song.
Yeah. Yeah.
My dad died. My dog died. My wife left. I lost my house, and on and on and on. But it's how do you respond? And I choose to use the word respond rather than react, because if we respond appropriately, we can take those experiences, at least from my perspective, we can take those experiences, learn from them, gain knowledge and experience because of them that can then lead us to more grand adventures.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, I don't wish that life event on anybody, of course. But it was something that really changed the trajectory of my life. And what I knew going through that, and when it happened, I knew that I had this innate feeling in my body and my soul that the adversity that I had gone through prior, dealing with and conquering addiction, now 32 years sober, depression, thoughts of suicide, all the things that I dealt with in my life, to name a few, I knew at that moment that I was going to be okay because I had actually built that resilience muscle. I had built that resilience because of what I'd gone through and how I defined each of those things in my life that happened. And you look at, I'm no scientist, I'm not a neuroscientist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist. Like I said, I'm a regular guy. But what I did is when I sat down and wrote the book, I recognized the pattern. If you recognize the pattern, you got a really good shot at conquering whatever you're trying to conquer. I recognized the pattern and I came up with this 3-step process, or the AAA formula, that I did a TEDx talk on. And it's all about accepting, appreciating, and assessing. And I call it the AAA. It's easy to remember, but it takes some work. It takes some work to apply it. It's like the IKEA. There's 8 steps to putting together the dresser or drawer, but it takes 5 hours, and your marriage isn't the same afterwards. I mean, but it's easy to remember. You want to accept. You have to trade your expectations for acceptance. I learned that in the program, and I applied it to my life. And no matter what I go through, I accept it, and I know that it's there to make me stronger and not break me. And then the next one is to really appreciate it. And people think that I'm not saying, hey, I appreciate my adversity. I certainly wouldn't be the man I am today without the adversity I went through. And I do appreciate what I went through. And I'll tell you why, because it gives me a new outlook in life. And if I switch from my, victim mentality, or, life's happening to me all the time, and why am I doing this? Where I switch to being appreciative of what life has given me, what the universe is bringing me, then my whole life changes. And I can be in a different state immediately. And when I'm in that state of appreciation or that state of gratitude, the brain cannot process fear or anger. It's the studies show that. So I want to be in a state of gratitude, and that gives me a good foundation for my mental health. And then the third A is to assess. And it's so funny because I went back to all these things in my childhood, and I went back to, as I was a teen and in the early 20s and 30s, all the way up. And when I wrote the book, I realized there's the pattern. I didn't even know I was doing it, but I was doing this AAA. I was doing it as a kid. And my dad helped me with that and the language that I used. It's like, it builds character, Rob. It's okay. You're going to be okay. And I think that sort of helped me build this AAA formula in my head and then bring it to the world because it's proven. It's a proven it's a proven formula that's worked for me. And that last one of assess is so important, where we pull back. And once we've taken those 2 first steps, we have the conviction and the clarity in our mind to say, okay, now it's time. Now it's time to move forward. And I can now move forward with new purpose, be even stronger with new perspective. And I did that even when I had to leave my wife behind in that hospital and know that I would never see her again in this lifetime. I did that even then in that moment. And I was able to not just survive that horrific event, but I was able to thrive again. I'm living an amazing life. I found a love again. I love my life. I have an amazing life. I get to travel around the world and give back this message. And I couldn't do that unless I did apply those 3 steps. And I live and breathe this every day. So that's sort of how it all came about. And, the book is well received, but I'm just, like I said, I'm just a regular guy. I'm just trying to say, look, if you get 1 or 2 things, nuggets out of what my message is and my journey, I'm so grateful for that I can help anybody out there that's struggling, because we know that so many people are struggling. The numbers are astronomical, and we see it every day. We don't need to. Everybody tells you about the numbers. We know that they're not that good.
And Rob, we have a listener that wants to ask you a question. And Rochelle, can you read this question?
Yes, she says, "Who am I going to become after I get through this? This is a factor of what I do in the midst of the crisis."
Very good question. I don't know who that is. What's the name?
Eastland
Eastland.
Burkholder.
Yes,
Eastland.
that's
Thanks
why
so
I
much.
had her read it, because I can't
Yeah.
pronounce the name. So.
Well, thanks so much for that question, Eastland. I do believe and again, I can only share my experience, my strength, and my hope with you. And my experience tells me that if you do apply this 3-step process, then your mindset is completely different. The way you define what happened to you, Eastland, is completely different. And then you get to move forward with that strength and conviction, because you've not only survived it, but now you have the ability to thrive it. And it's all right here. You have all the tools you need, to be able to not just survive, but thrive. And that's all about how you define whatever adversity or challenge you're going through. But I believe, last thing I'll leave you with, Eastland, is I believe that we're all in transformation. I don't say the word struggle. I don't have that in my vocabulary. I say challenge. I think that's okay. But I really say transformation. We're all going through transformation, and it's a lifelong journey, and it's a long one, and we have to be ready. And every time something comes up, we build that resilience. If we use that 3-step process, we get stronger and stronger and stronger. And again, Eastland, I can only tell you from my experience what I went through. And I know that, when I lost my beloved Bonnie, when I lost her, I know that everything that I did prior to that got me ready for that moment, so I could be there for my kids, my grandkids, my community, and be somebody that was strong and had real strong conviction of moving forward with a purpose. And wow, here I am. Here's my purpose, giving back and serving the world now with my message. And that's what I do. So I hope that helps.
I'm sure it will. And we don't know her, so I don't know if you know her, but but it's
I hope she got something out of that. And you're a
well,
beautiful soul. I believe that, and I hope everything for the best for you.
the cool thing is that she's not the only one who got something
Yeah.
out of that. So what you just said is really important, and it really is vital. And Rochelle, I'm so glad that you made it here, because this is cool, isn't it? Talking to him.
This is phenomenal. There's so many things that have, I mean, there's always a lot going through my head.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah. Well, for one, the picture behind you, if you cannot see this, you're not watching it. Rob has a picture behind him that says "Surrender to your adversity." I would really like to touch on that when we come back from this break. But Kevin, this is, yeah, that's your book. This is incredible. I mean, you touched on gratitude. When we opened up the show and we started this week on that Monday, I woke up and I was reminding people in my life and myself just to be gratified by what I had.
Yeah.
And then, the having that grit, which comes with so many things. I mean, you really can completely change a lot about who you are. I want to touch on your book and also, um, when we come back, I want to ask you kind of your perception on it. I know for me, going through that journey of realizing that I wanted more and I could be more, and the whole world was there and it was for me. It was available right then and there. I
Yeah.
just had to make the difference in my mind. But when I did, it hurt, and I grieved myself
Yeah.
because I had to let that go. She had to die. Someone new had to come forward, and I had to have trust. I had to surrender. I was terrified, and I held on to it like a rose bush
Yeah.
because that is all I knew. And when I let go, it was terrifying. So I want to touch on that when we come back because I
Yeah.
really would love to get
Yeah.
your perception on it.
Wonderful. Yeah. Can't wait. Can't wait.
And we'll be back in just 1 minute. That's it. Just 1 minute, I promise. At
Come back.
67 years young, I never thought I'd feel this good again. But thanks to Purium's Ultimate Transformation Lifestyle, to date, I've lost 37 pounds and gained energy, confidence, and a whole new outlook on life. This isn't a diet. Purium is a complete lifestyle change, giving me all the natural, organic, nutrition-packed superfoods that fuel my body, crush my cravings, and help me burn fat naturally without starving myself. No gimmicks, no guesswork, just a simple, proven system that works. Superfood shakes, detox support, and real results. If I can do this at 67, imagine what you can do. It's your time to feel better, look better, and live better with Purium. Let's do it now, and let's do it together. Go to www.positivetalkradio.net and click on the Transform You to get started. That's positivetalkradio.net. Transform You. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Rochelle is here. Yay! I'm so happy that you're here. And Rod Swymer is our guest. And I even said that relatively closely correct, I think.
Yeah. You did a good job.
Good job.
I've been called worse. I've been called worse.
Well, and answer Rochelle, rephrase that question in case anybody is new or they forgot what you said.
Yes, we'll touch on the book. That was the first thing I said. We'll come back to that because it's going to go down another rabbit hole. But what is your perspective and things that you learning through yourself and working with other people about being able to let go of that old self and allow somebody new to take you over and to literally just relearn everything and to be different?
Yeah, well, what you're talking about, Rochelle, really, in some circles, what I look at limited beliefs, and I look at what is sort of keeping us back, what is holding us back from being our true self. I'll tell you a quick story of me. My experience was when I grew up with severe learning disabilities. My friends back home are very surprised I even wrote a book because I never read a book. It's really funny because I went on this journey because I had a limited belief. I don't comprehend anything I read still. I am the reader with a highlighter, and I'm sure there's many listeners out there that understand what that is. I'm the reader with the highlighter and the notes, and I read chapters 3 or 4 times. So for me to write a book and to actually endeavor to that, I had to also say goodbye to my old self, like you're talking about. I had to break through that limited belief. Was it really true that I couldn't write a book? So that's what I did. I went on this personal journey, and this life event is what catapulted me into this personal journey. And I think at the beginning of the show, you said, what's our why? Why are we here? Kevin, you said that, and it really, really hit a chord with me because in that moment of my life event, obviously I went into myself and said, why am I here? What's my purpose? If this happened to me, okay, how much more do I have to take? Why am I here? And now I know why I'm here, to actually to serve others and to get this message out. But I know exactly what you're talking about, where you have to grieve that person, you have to say goodbye to that person, because the real issue is, Rochelle, that person never existed.
Yes, say that again. Say that again for the people in the back.
The person never existed. It was just it was somebody that you thought was there. It was how you defined yourself. And when you peel back the covers and you realize what your values are, who you really are, deep down in your soul, It's so easy to break through that limited belief. And I put pen to paper and I wrote that book. It took me 5 months. And I'll tell you what, the fact that I did that is I'm sharing my experience, strength, and hope of just me doing that. I'm not a writer. I'm not somebody that wants to write 10 books. I'm a person that told my story. And I also have a lot of other stories in my book from people that had gone through serious adversity of all kinds. So I tried to bring people together in my book too and tell a little bit of their stories. But I'll tell you, you nailed it. You nailed it. You have to grieve that person. But let's be honest, and I'll say it again, that person never existed. You made that person up. And when you look at your limited beliefs and you start questioning them, are they really true? Am I really that person? Am I really that, can I not do that? You start to laugh at it. And you
Yes.
build up that you laugh at it. You say, well, how could that be? I'm not that person. That's ridiculous. And then you start to just laugh at it and get rid of it. And you just throw that person away and you say, no, I'm not going to be that person. I'm going to be this new person. And that's when you start resilience, you start certainty. Those are the kinds of things that you build up by doing those exercises. And resilience is a buzzword, but I'll tell you what you're really doing is you're building your own certainty. Just like going to the mental gym, you're building that certainty and you know what happens is you start to realize you can do anything.
Yeah.
You can do stupid stuff that you never thought you could do. And then you get into manifesting and you get into like, hey, can I do this? Can I do that? And my poor wife says, will you stop manifesting? I'm like, she's on a merry-go-round. She goes, I don't know what I'm going to do next, So, that's what it's about, right? You're like, you have unlimited potential to create your own destiny, to create your own world. And it's all right here. It's inside you. You just have to unleash it.
It's an amazing thing. And oh, by the way, you just tell us that you're just a normal guy. But I'm looking over here and it says Amazon.com best-selling author to a guy who has special needs or had special needs when you were a kid.
Yeah.
So have you, I've got to ask this. Have you ever listened to yourself talk?
I try and listen to my own words a lot. It's not easy. I get that a lot from my friends. It's like, you're a motivational speaker for crying out loud, but I am human. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
no, my point there is if you listen to yourself, you're not a normal guy. You're special because you've done and you're working to do the same thing that Rochelle and I are trying to do, and that's enrich humanity.
Yeah.
And do you feel when you started this journey, did that change you? Do you feel differently? Do you feel more empowered to be able to do like anything you want?
Yeah, absolutely. I live my life in certainty that I'm living my purpose. I believe what I'm doing now is what exactly I was put on this earth to do. I had a 42-year career in high tech and leadership and sales leadership. I had an amazing journey. I so much love for all the people that worked for me and with me and around me. I had 4 decades of that. And I'll tell you what, and it was a great career. What I'm doing now is absolutely why I'm here on earth. Absolutely. I believe that. I believe that with all of my heart.
And isn't that the most freeing thought that there is, that you know who you are, why you're here. Yeah. You made a contract with yourself before you even got here to be in a position to do this. And all the things that you did for those 4 decades led you to the ability to do what you're doing now so that you could impact the world.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you another great story that at the end of my career in leadership, I was tapped to lead the UK and Ireland for a multi-billion-dollar software company I was working for at the time. And that region or that theater had 4 leaders in 3 years. They were very discombobulated. They didn't have a lot of trust or collaboration, and there were some amazing people there. They just needed some leadership. So I went over there as an American to lead, the UK and London. And you're ready for this? It's part of my story. 3 weeks before COVID. So, right, don't get ahead of me. It's crazy, but anyways, yeah. So here and it's funny because the first sentence in my book is I'm writing a book about adversity as I go through adversity yet again in my life. And I'm sequestered in my flat. I have 1 hour day outside for months and months and months. I have to lead this country over Zoom for 2 years. And I'll tell you what, that was an amazing learning experience. Again, everything that had culminated up to that point. Was I the right person for that job? Absolutely, because of my servant leadership mindset, my empathy, and I actually bring love into the business world. I believe love in the business world is a competitive advantage. So I brought all this to the team, and we went to first place in the first year. And they did that. They did that because they embraced the principles. And what I brought to them was what I'm bringing to the stage now on a global basis. It's pretty cool. It's called physical intelligence. So when I was over in London, I got certified in physical intelligence. It's all about the body, breath work, body movement, and how we release the right chemicals, get off the cortisol, dopamine seesaw, and make sure that we're doing dopamine, oxytocin, the love hormone, right? Serotonin, the belonging hormone, the culture engagement hormone, endorphins. These are all things that, I focused on as I led that team. So now my mission is to bring all this technology that we have in our body and activate the audience, which is why I'm a resilience activator. I'm not a coach. I'm not somebody that's going to sit down and go through it with you. I'm going to actually activate you in that hour I have with you, and you will be different because you have met me, because I've taught you a life skill that you can use in life and business and pass on to your family, your church, your community, whatever it may be.
And the really cool thing about that is that when you impact a business and you impact the CEO of a business, you're changing the culture of the whole dang thing. And that allows people to flourish and to understand who they really are. So it can be really a dynamic thing that you're doing.
It was so cool because I have so much love in my heart for those people that worked under my charge for those 2 years. I truly have love in my heart, and I've made friends there, even though we had a challenge with that for sure. That was a transformation journey, trying to get people face to face in that 2 years. But I did make some friends along the way, and they're lifelong friends. They've been across the pond here in Florida and playing golf with me, and I've been across. So, we make those bonds. Business, it's a human game. It's always going to be a human game. We have technology coming out all the time. And boy, after 40 years of a career in technology, you can bet that I followed the shiny objects a lot, right? I wanted to know what was next. AI coming on now and all the stuff that's happening. But I will go to my grave saying that business is a human game, always will be. We coexist with the technology, we coexist with AI, but it's always about a human interaction. And that is what matters the most in business and in life.
I got to ask you, this is a little off topic, but I got to ask you, how long did it take you to learn to drive on the wrong side of the road?
That's a great question. So, I'll tell you what, I didn't have to learn because of COVID. I couldn't go anywhere anyways.
True.
So
there you go.
Yeah, I walked. I laugh because I tell everybody we window shopped for 2 years. We walked, for 5 hours. There was nobody there, and most of the time, toward the end, it got a little better. But at the beginning, there was no driving. There was nobody on the road.
And I had a gentleman who is from the UK, and he's a bit of a historian. He told me why, because I asked him, why do they drive on the wrong side of the road? And he said, because this goes back to when the knights were there, and they would, so that they would not clink their swords as they passed by each other, they had to they had to go on the different side. Or was that you who told me that?
No, but I've heard that story many times, and I they'll tell you that we drive on the wrong side of the road here.
Yeah.
Yes, they do, but they're wrong. Because my son is in London, and he wants me to come out there, and it's like, no, I'll go and I'll drive on the correct side of the road,
Yeah.
and I'll get into a major accident. And
Oh yeah.
I'm not interested. So, by the way, we're talking with Rob Swymer, and he's got a book that is Surrender to Your Adversity: How to Conquer Adversity, Build Resilience, and Move Towards Your Life Purpose. I got to tell you, Rob, we are so. I think she just put a hex on you.
Yeah.
That's my thing. It's like how I'm setting my energy. Like I'm so involved. I don't know how else to get it out, and I've never done that on the show, but it's coming out today.
I feel it. I feel it very much. And yeah, the whole surrender thing is another whole topic. It's, for me, surrender is not give up at all. Surrender is to give in. And my book is really all about that. It's about giving in, not giving up. And when you give in, then you are able to accept what the universe is going to give you, and then you move towards your purpose in the right way.
Oh, we need to talk about that more, but we need to take a quick break.
Okay.
And we'll be right back. Rochelle and I are having a great time talking to this just normal dude. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin and Rochelle, and Rob is here. And Rochelle, isn't this fun?
It is. And I have to ask, because I've been so curious, the thing going through my mind before we get into your book is, do you remember the first time you told yourself that you were proud of yourself? Like what that felt like, and what it changed to feel that and experience being proud of yourself?
Yeah, no, I actually do remember. And it was when I was really peeling back the onion in personal growth, and I really went inside myself and did so much work on my limited beliefs, for example, like I talked about earlier. And when I realized that they were just silly and that I was much more than they were, it was an amazing moment. It was very emotional. It's something, even looking back, I get chills, because it's an amazing thing, and it's very powerful for you to be proud of yourself and to be a person that with conviction knows you're doing the right thing and you're a good person, you're a good soul. And, everybody has that in them. They just have to get it out of there.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Indeed. Rochelle, these shows, when we have a guest like Rob on, they're just not long enough. We need, we could dominate your day for all day long. Because the information that you are providing is so needed and so important that people have got to know their worth. They've got to believe, but so many people don't. And I was having a conversation earlier about so many people are asleep. And that is a good metaphor for it, because it's not that they're bad people. No, they're just asleep.
Yeah. Well, we started, it sort of went with the pandemic. We started with a medical pandemic, and I believe, and again, I'm open to feedback, and I'd love to hear from listeners. I believe that we are now in a mental health pandemic.
Yep.
We're seeing those numbers. 70% of college kids have some kind of depression or an event in the last year. We've got 20 veterans committing suicide a day. 1 in 5 adults are in some kind of depression episode at work in the year. Loneliness is at an all-time high. I mean, I could spend the day citing studies and numbers. We all know what they are. But the reality is we have got to break through that. And we've got to be there for people. And we have to be open. We have to be honest. We have to be vulnerable as leaders in life and business. We have to be vulnerable. I'm on a tear going on every network that'll have me to say that we have to normalize the conversation for men's mental health and women's mental health and child mental health. We have to normalize the conversation so people can talk about it. And it's not a stigma anymore. It's just something we have to conquer. And we all have the ability to conquer it if we get together and do it right together.
And this is an appropriate time for me to say, by the way, if you're listening to this broadcast now or later, and you are feeling depressed and you're feeling bad, and you may have suicidal thoughts, pick up the phone and call 988. Please pick up the phone, call 988. That's a national hotline, and that's the first step for you to get the help that you need. Because quite frankly, we all need help at one time or another.
Absolutely.
And there's people out there who want to help you.
Yeah. And the reality is that, I learned it when I was in the program, and I learned that it's courage to do that. It's not weakness. It shows courage to ask for help. That's a simple word change. That's all it takes. And if we all believe that, then we're all going to get the right help. It's courage to reach out and get help. I believe that I had courage to go to my first AA meeting. Now, I didn't believe that then. I was in real bad shape. But looking back, I know that took a lot of courage. Another moment of pride that I was able to do that. But that was a God moment. That was a God moment from the universe, and I know that. I know what that was. But, we talked about surrender before the break. And when I define surrender as giving in, not giving up. And what I mean by that is, I have the experience, again, a proven experience in AA, for example. My first year, I did not surrender. I did not give in. I did not give up. I did nothing. I said, I don't belong here. I'm not one of these people. I refused to believe that I belonged there. So for that year, I suffered with depression. I suffered with thoughts of suicide. It was when I surrendered to give in, and change those expectations and understand that the mindset is everything. Year 2 is when I started to thrive, and I started to get really not just dry. I got sober, and my life changed forever for the better. And it was that act of giving in, not giving up, giving in, and accepting that where I was exactly where I needed to be. And I have that mindset today and every day, one day at a time. For those listeners that know what I'm talking about, it is one day at a time. And I have to have that mindset. I get a daily reprieve every day, and that mindset has to be there. And we have to work on ourselves. We have to do that. It's so important. It's not going to just happen. You have to go get it and grab it, and you have to bring it here to the heart, and you have to live it and breathe it, and you have to work on yourself. That's important.
Yeah. And Rob, I have to ask you if you agree with this, because I think so many people think it's going to be so hard to change. It's going to be so hard to give in. It's not that hard. And I think what realized that is I was like that. I would push, against everything, which made it worse in every situation possible.
Sure.
But it was that there was this defining moment in my mind where I was like, no, I'm willing to do this. And then it changed. It allowed the change to come. All it took was that one thought of, I'm willing. I'm willing, and I'm open now, and I want this change. And then it changed. It wasn't, of course, it's hard.
Yeah.
But is it really just like, would you agree that it's just that simple of that one change in your brain that tells you, okay, never mind, let's do something different? And once you open up, it just starts happening.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's all about changing your mindset and where you want to be and who you want to be. And I'll tell you, it's difficult. It's hard work, but it all stems from how much pain you're in. We have a saying, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And the other saying is the elevator goes to the floor, but you can get off anytime. This is about life, right? If you're struggling and you're spiraling, You get to come out of that elevator with the sunshine. That's up to you. That you define that. You take that action and you move forward. That's totally up to you. And once you do that, then life changes. And I believe in the 2 millimeter rule. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but the 2 millimeter rule, it's actually the way I heard this story, and I don't know if this is true or not. It was one of the top plastic surgeons in New York. And they asked him, how are you so brilliant? And how do you do this? Like, you're the number one plastic surgeon. Everybody goes to you. He says, it's the 2 millimeter rule. And they go, what do you mean? He goes, well, there's a point where you can make too many adjustments and then it all goes south. So you just make minor changes. You make minor little changes and the results are unbelievable. They're unbelievable. So that's what I do in life. You can make minor changes to what you're doing. And if you do that, that stacks up those habits, the atomic habits guy, right? But this is another way of looking at it. Look at the 2 millimeter rule. You don't have to make massive changes and shifts. That's not what it's about. You don't wake up and say, I want to get healthy. I think I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to work out for 4 hours every day. That will not, right? That's not going to work.
Well, I just pulled a muscle just thinking about it.
I know, right? Right? Exactly. So maybe you go to the gym for and you walk for 5 minutes the first day if that's what you can do. You just stack that up. So think about the 2 millimeter rule as something where you can take action. Now, if you're tired and you're sick and you're ready, it's all about how much pain can you endure before you say enough's enough.
Now, Rocco, I wanted to ask you, because I heard a term recently that applies to somebody in government, and I'm not going to say who, but what is it? Because you've been in recovery for over 30 years. What is the difference from being a dry drunk and being in recovery?
It's easy. So a dry drunk typically is somebody that is not going to meetings or in the program. They are not activating the program and learning how to deal with their life on life's terms. So they are struggling because although they are not drinking, they still have the mindset. So you have to shift your mindset and you have to activate that mindset. And the fellowship and the program, they do that for you. Sitting around it. I talk about this all. This is a great topic because I'll tell you, I talk about it all the time where, look, it wasn't the celebrity spokesperson or the pill that they were going to give me at the pharmacy that got me sober, or the psychiatrist that met with me. It was the other drunk on the other side of the table. And a total different walk of life, no one that I would even know or come in contact with. That's the person that got me sober. And if you don't go there and get that activation and that camaraderie and that fellowship, that's the definition of a dry drunk. You can survive, but man, you're not going to thrive. My opinion, bring it on if you think it's opposite, but I'll go to my grave saying it, because I'll tell you what, if I didn't have that fellowship, I don't know if I'd ever get sober.
Well, we are social animals. We need fellowship. And that's one of the things that is going on right now.
Yes.
Is that there's a lot of separateness,
loneliness,
and loneliness. And we've got to fix that. And I applaud you for recognizing that and helping people. So if you join a group, and I made Rochelle do this, because at one point she was kind of lonely, and I said, you need to go find a group of people. Maybe a church would be a good place to you to go, if you can find the church that resonates with you, because there are people there and you need camaraderie. You need people to say, gee, Rochelle, you're not all that bad. You're a pretty good person. I like you a lot. Yeah. And that helps all of us because we're social.
Well, and to top that off even more is who I'm deciding. I could go to the club or I could go to church. Yeah. I could go to the library or I can go to a concert. You literally decide how you are routing your brain every single day by the people around. Don't get me wrong, those things are bad. Like, go do you and set your boundaries and have the time of your life. But also, like, where do you set those boundaries with yourself, and what are you willing to allow from yourself, and how you treat what you look at in the mirror rather than just what's around you.
Yeah, self-care.
Affects you.
Yeah, self-care.
You know, rotten fruit, rotten fruit. Fresh fruit, you get fresh fruit.
Exactly. And I am an advocate for self-care, whatever that means. Everybody's different. A walk in nature is proven. The neurological studies have proven that your endorphins are going to increase, your oxytocin, your serotonin, all the good hormones are going to run through your body. I studied the neuroscience of leadership and the neuroscience of the body for now over a decade. So you can activate your own chemicals in your body, and you can do it in less than 10 seconds. And I do that with people all the time. And you have all the power to do that. So self-care is extremely important. And it's something that you have to work on, and it has to be a priority. We all know the saying, right? When in the airplane, you put the mask on yourself before you put it on somebody else. Well, there's a reason for that. And it's a saying forever, and everybody says it, but it's a visual, and people understand that. And the reason that is because you have to be in the right frame of mind to help somebody else. You have to have the right mindset to be able to help somebody else. And that's what it's all about. So self-care is something that I take very, very seriously. I've got to make sure that I'm in a good place, or how can I serve others?
Yeah. And when we come back from this break, Kevin, can we talk about that 10-second thing? I would love to learn that.
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm sorry. We're just not that kind of a show. So, of course we can. So
do we have to take a break, or you can we do it?
Just a 30-second break. That's all it is.
All right. So we come back. We're going to talk about physical intelligence and how we can unleash the chemicals in our own body. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Without even an injection. So we'll be right back.
Exactly.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
And welcome back to Positive Talk.
I'm sorry. A body in motion stays in motion, so I'm always moving. Yeah.
I'm having the best time, so Michelle, ask the question again for those that are maybe just joining us.
Yes. Rob had mentioned there you can change or activate so many things inside of you and change. I'm guessing so many things in 10 seconds. And I am curious to know, how do you do that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So when I was in London, I met this person called Claire Dale and Kevin Chapman. They are part of the Physical Intelligence Institute. And I'm like, what is that? And this is what catapulted the team, because I used all these principles. So I got to really be good friends with Claire because I knew there was something going on. She wrote a book called Physical Intelligence for your listeners out there. Claire Dale, Physical Intelligence. Get it. It's a great book. So I studied this for the last several years and worked with the Institute. And what I found was I could change people's states with my words and my actions and my body movement in less than 10 seconds. And I could feel their state change with how they breathed, their body language, how their language changed toward me. So now I'm the only one in America that's actually doing this on stage. Now I do it with big rooms, and I change the state of the room. And I do that with different body movements, breath work, or some manifesting or visualization. For example, we have something called the Kate Winslet that we do, and I play the Titanic music. Everybody laughs. It's a lot of fun because everybody's seen the Titanic, even the guys that don't want to admit it. They all know the movie. So I play that music, and we get the emotions going, and we just do a simple, the arms out, the head up, the chest up. And we know by doing that for 8 seconds, we have released oxytocin, which is the love hormone. But it's also the hormone of belonging. Right, exactly. There you go, Michelle. Yeah. Did you think you're going to be doing this today?
I'm going to soak that up. This is going to be me for the next 60,000 years of my life. I'm going to just walk around
there you go.
Just give me a minute.
You just be Rose on the top of the boat. And I do this in a big room, and I can feel the shift, and they can feel the shift. That's just one example. There's body movements all throughout, how we release serotonin, how we release dopamine, how we release the endorphins. We can run a marathon, which I'm not interested in, or we can do simple body movements for 8 seconds and the endorphins are released. So these are things that I do now, and I've studied this enough. Another great book for your listening is Paul Zak. He's a great man, amazing neuroscience scientist. He wrote a book called The Trust Factor, and that is all about bringing love to life and business. So I actually studied this, and then I brought it to the team. They didn't even know it. So it was like I was activating them and getting them into a state where they could thrive, not just survive COVID and Zoom calls with their customers and keeping their family healthy and all the crap that's going around in their head. So I activated them with physical intelligence. And all these studies show, the neuroscience, and Paul Zak's done this by doing blood work before and after. You can actually activate these chemicals in 8 seconds. Now, I do them for about 30 seconds or 45 seconds so the audience really feels it. But I am on a tear right now globally to bring this to the business world, to bring this to personal development seminars all over, because I believe that once you learn this skill, you can take it to everybody and you can use it for yourself. I used to get on Zoom calls. I did Zoom calls for 12 hours a day, back to back in London when I was leading that country. So every time I do a Zoom call, before I hit enter, I would do the Kate Winslet or I do the my wife was like, "You're doing it again." Yeah, oh my God, I got it. It's like I had to do that because I wanted them to feel that. Yeah, there you go, Kevin. Yeah, there you go. And I wanted them to feel that energy, right? I wanted to feel that I was there for them, that I was present, that I actually did love them, and I wanted them to thrive, both personally and professionally. So now we're bringing it to the stages and everybody that'll listen to me, because this is a game changer. It was a game changer for me. Same preface as the book. I'm just passing on my experience, my strength, my hope that people actually do this, because I did it. I lived it. I breathed it. I saw the results. I'm like, I've got to pass this on. It's my duty to do that. And it's my purpose to pass this stuff on so people learn that you can actually have a competitive advantage and lead better. Your teams will be highly engaged. And if your teams are engaged, we know Gallup studies show in 2017, I think it was, they did a study, and companies that cultures are more engaged, they're 22% more profitable. Who does not want to know that? That's exactly what I'm trying to do for companies now. And I'm trying to do it for people as well in their community, and they can pass it on to their kids and everybody that they know, because it's so simple. Like I just showed you one movement and you both did it and you didn't have any problem doing it. It's not a big deal. But there are many things that we can do to activate these chemicals and get rid of that cortisol, that fight or flight, that fear, that anger, all that stuff that's going on that we're seeing play out in the world. It's heartbreaking. I hate to see it. It makes me so emotional when I watch this, because I know that they can change their state if they really want to. And they don't have to live in fear. They don't have to be angry. And it's okay. It's okay to show your emotions and have an opinion. And obviously that's all good. But inside, you want to be the right person to do that. And your language can still be positive, even though you're trying to make a point on the other side.
And indeed, it needs to be positive, or should be positive, or could be positive, because the negative part just doesn't work when you're attacking other people and stuff. And it's counterproductive. And I wanted to mention this, Rob, and that is for anybody who's listening here who is the idea of energy is foreign to them. I want to just mention that Einstein proved it. He's a guy with wild hair in the 1900s, and Tesla proved it. And we all have energy. And you were talking about going to the forest and being outside in nature.
Yeah.
Next time, and I implore everybody to do this. Next time you're out in nature, walk up to the biggest tree you can find and just gently put your hands on the tree. And I swear to you, on my mother's grave, you will feel the energy and the vibration coming from that tree. If they have energy and vibration, we all do. And and I used to be able, I drove a bus for 12 years. I could change the energy with 60 or 70 people on my bus based upon my behavior.
Yeah. In a
If I was
second.
happy, in a second. If I was happy and said hello to everybody and stuff, that is contagious. So we can all do it. Be in business, personal life, and it'll change the world. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I believe we're magnets, right? We are magnets. What we
Yep.
put out in the universe, we get back. And I want to bring people toward me, and I want them to feel the positive energy, and that's what I do. And I try to be a magnet that's a positive influence, and why I'm on Positive Talk Radio. I mean, this is it, right? I mean, we want to be somebody that can give and not get. That's a whole other thing that I'm into, that I talk about in business. Have that give versus get mentality. If you're there to serve the people under your charge, you're there to serve your customers, your community, it's amazing what happens. Your language changes, your focus changes, your physiology changes, and you are in a different mindset. And people feel that. Customers will lean into you. They'll tell you things they might not have before if you're not there to give versus get. And I've lived that so many times and taught that, and I've seen the examples of that play out in life and business. So that's exactly what we're talking about, Kevin. Well done.
I think that service is why we're here.
Yeah.
It is the highest form of love and caring and kindness that you can have when you are being of service to somebody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know I've said it so many times, a life worth living is a life of giving. I mean, that's
Oh, Rochelle, that's a bumper sticker.
I know.
I believe that. I believe that in my heart. And the reason why I really believe it so much is because I used to be the other guy. To be honest, I wasn't always this guy. So a long time ago, when I first started out in business and sales, I was a getter. What's in it for me? How can I get more? How can I get more from you? Right? That's who I was. And so I've already been on the other side. And it was, and I was successful and I had a great life, but I was a getter. What's in it for me? Now, I don't wish this on anybody. I said it before, but that life event, the other life events didn't do it for me. I was still a getter. But that one life event, when I lost my wife, it triggered something in my brain. And I came out of that experience a whole different person. And now, since 2013, I give, I serve. That's the mentality I have. I would go in customer meetings and I'd say, how can I serve you? And they would say, what are you talking about? And I'd say, I want to serve you. I want your life to be better for having met me. How can we do that? What can I do for you? And they're not used to that. But I'll tell you what, that's a game changer. That's a competitive advantage. But you don't do it for that. You do it because you really do want to serve and you want their life to be different after they've met you. Why else would you have that job? Right.
Exactly right. And Rochelle, we're going to run out of time. Dang it. Dang it, dang it, dang it. But is there anything you would like to ask Rob before we go?
So, first of all, will you come back?
Absolutely.
We need more of Rob Swymer. And just to end the show, we love to ask our guests just anything on your mind that you would love to share with our audience before we close out the show.
Now, I hope they learned a few things. I hope they got a little bit of something they can apply in their life. And if they have, I couldn't be more grateful. That's really what it's all about. So I hope they enjoyed it. I hope they got something out of it. And obviously the show notes, you'll know where to find me. I'm happy to serve in any way you need me. Please reach out to me. And
that is at robswymer.com, correct?
That's right. Yeah. Reach out to me. I'm here to serve in any way you need.
And the name of the book is Surrender to Your Adversity.
Yes,
How to conquer adversity, build resilience, and move toward your life's purpose, which at the end of the day is why we're all here.
That's right. That's right.
And Rob, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I had a blast. Thank you so much.
Not as much as I did. Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin at kmmedia.pro.